We're also going to see a promo on this show where Hunter's going to go old school, much like Harley Race put out a bounty before Starrcade on Goldberg. I guess this was really a staple of old school Southern wrestling. Hunter's going to put out $100,000 bounty to take out Goldberg. And if you're watching along with us on YouTube, you even see the suitcase full of money, just like we saw in those old Harley promos. This is old school. This feels like something that Hunter would have had a lot of influence over. Does that sound right?
Oh yeah, I think so. Oh yeah, of course. I think so. He was in a position at that point in time that he could kind of describe and outline his own angles. And like I said before, the best angles are ones that the talent buy into and contribute to. And certainly Hunter contributed mightily to the creative of his angle. And just like Austin did with his stuff and Taker and so forth, those guys, when they get to a certain level of stardom, shall we say, they do have I don't want to say a free hand, but they have the opportunity to really contribute to this whole process.
The main event of this program is Goldberg teaming up with Shawn Michaels, and what a team that is, to take on Ric Flair and Randy Orton. Rodney Mack and Mark Henry are going to come out and do run-ins and try to collect on the bounty. So it's a nice little story. On the other side of this Monday Night Raw is where we find out that the Raw crew was sat down and told no more overhead belly to belly suplexes. I guess there was a scary spot where Charlie Haas was throwing Chris Benoit with that suplex. Benoit nearly lands almost right on his head. No more. Of course, we had seen guys like Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle and a lot of guys over the years. Taz, lots of folks have done this, but it is a dangerous move. And at the time, I have to admit, I would have thought, well, how dangerous can it be? But this was 20 years ago. And we know in more recent years, boy, a really scary situation with the way Big E got hurt with his belly to belly suplex overhead on the floor. Yeah. What do you remember about this move, if anything, getting banned?
Well, it was time. It was getting risky, and guys are getting careless. I think that's the key thing. Talents are getting careless on the execution of it. And if you don't get a full revolution, then you land in one spot and that's on your head. And that's exactly what you do not want to do. So, it was tough. It was tough, sledding for a while. And I think it was a smart move to eliminate that belly to belly overhead. It's just so many things can go wrong. And the other part of it is that what frustrates me at times is that nobody ever wins with that move. So, or if they do, it's seldom. So anyhow, that's where I was looking at that deal. Just be safe and not be stupid. Be safe, not stupid.
I like that. That should be a catchphrase. There's a push behind the scenes, according to Dave Meltzer, to change the way these matches are being put together. Now keep in mind, folks, this is 2003, and it's being written here in the Observer that there is a push from the agents in the office. Stop doing paint by numbers matches and laying everything out ahead of time. Go out there and just call it in the ring. Listen to the crowd. Supposedly Steve Austin is a big proponent for this in this era as well. And a lot of people have mixed feelings on it. Quote, "The feeling is that the match quality will drop off at first, but it's a valuable experience they should all have, and eventually will make people better workers because they'll be used to thinking more as part of the match." So talk to me about that. This was the thinking 20 years ago, and it feels like we're still talking about it today, Jim.
Well, a lot of talents just don't want to change. They're afraid to change. They like the match by memory scenario. I don't, quite frankly, because when guys get off their script or off their set pattern of moves and they have to deviate, sometimes things go awry and the match becomes sloppy and somewhat predictable. So it was time to, I just don't. I think talents are just so much better off if they are connected emotionally and psychologically to each other in a match instead of going by memory. Now, what we're going to do after this, what we're going to do after that, weren't you supposed to do this? It gets cumbersome, it gets awkward. And that's what you don't want. you want it to seem like a natural progression in a match, and so that's kind of where I am on that deal. I like the fact that talents are calling it in the ring, and they're using their material that works to make their match more believable. And that's always been the key: make your matches believable. And you do that by not memorizing your spots. And it's just an obvious thing that you don't want. You don't want that scenario. And Austin was just one of many that wanted to go back to, doing what they believe was the right thing for the match, as opposed to memorizing a cool script.